Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here. It's Sunday morning. We're in February. I hope everyone's well. First up, apologies for no video last week. The call of overtime at work drew me in, so it was all a bit of a rush, and I decided I didn't have time to do one. I hope, as I say, I hope everyone's well and had an enjoyable Saturday night. Sort of recovering a little bit. There was a gig going on at the local record shop. A band called Blue Nation were playing. Absolute stonking. They're doing a acoustic Q&A sort of unplugged session, which went on for a time. Then we decamped for a curry afterwards, and yeah, it was good times. I didn't get home till quite late, so I had a bit of a late night in bed, which at my age is not something I'm used to. But yeah, all is good at my end. This video is going to be showing off some finds that I had in the last month. I'm going to be in two parts. I'm going to show the best I've got in January. But as I said, I'll do it in two videos. I've got some time off towards the end of the week, so I'm going to probably attempt to do the other video during then. So, as I said, this is sort of videos about the best of January's finds. I'm going to do some wrap up from the end of last year. I didn't get much Christmas wise. I don't get much music related. We set a limit on what we spend, and to be quite honest, I'd rather have the records myself. We don't spend that much in it. The limit we set ourselves doesn't cover the price of a record. And that's done because I'd rather my family, especially my sister, spend money on her grandkids and the like. So I don't need to waste the money on me. Right. So I did get an Amazon voucher, and with that, I got myself the New York Dolls reissue, Back to Black reissue, and very enjoyable. It is one of my favourite CDs, famously described as mock rock by Bob Harris upon their appearance on the Old Grey Whistle Test. An influential album, influential band at that time. Probably, didn't get the success or kudos they probably merited. On New Year's Eve, just before I broke up to work. No, I didn't want New Year's Eve. Just before last day I broke up from work, I thought I'd stop off at the Discovery just to see in Birmingham, just to see if they got anything in. I found 3 albums there. This only cost me a few quid. I was quite surprised. It's Genesis We Can't Dance, because you don't see vinyl copies of this that often round my way. Anyhow, I've got a CD version, so I was really pleased to pick that up. And it was a clean copy. Didn't cost me much. Last album to feature Phil Collins came out, I think, 1991. The songs on here, No Son of Mine, Jesus He Knows Me, I Can't Dance. But there's some long numbers in there as well. So anyway, the Caught Between Two Stools, a bit of pop, but there's also a sort of leaning to their prog leanings. There you go. But a not a bad album at all. I mean, they're always going to have difficulty following up Invisible Touch because it was such a big album for them. Something a little bit different. This is Tenpole Tudor, and this is, if I read it from the back, this is Eddie, Old Bob, Dick and Gary. That's the name of the album. And there we go, said people. Originally came out in 1980, then got reissued in 1981. This is a 1981 reissue on Stiff, and it's on the back of The Swords of a Thousand Men being the top 10 hit single for them. And Wunderbar is just a great song. It's just a great drinking song. So I was pleased to find that. And then something I was quite pleased to find, and this only cost me a tenner. It's Vanilla Fudge's self-titled debut. This is a German reissue from 1973. There we go, on Atlantic. So, Obviously well known for their version, You Keep Me Hanging On. I have to be honest with you, when I listened to this, I thought the elements of this was a little bit overblown. Then obviously when I posted it on Facebook, people were saying, what a great album, that album. So I'm going to have to persevere with this and give it another listen. But I could see where they're coming from, but it just at times felt a little bit overblown. You know, maybe down to the sort of mood I was in when listening to it. New Year's Eve, I did buy a couple of records in the HMV depot in Birmingham, the new HMV, which is, if you're not sit in the UK, it's a big store. They took over an old IKEA unit that happened in the centre of Birmingham, and vast area, and it's okay. I mean, I did pick up a couple of albums. Queen's Innuendo, the last album to feature Freddie Mercury when he was alive, released in 1971. The title track became the #1 single for him. This is now when you look at it, I mean, it was a good album when it came out. It was, I thought, a real return to form when I first heard it when it first came out, especially the title track. But then obviously, what we weren't aware of was how ill Freddie Mercury was at that particular point in time. And so, you know, you hear like The Show Must Go On, the Days of Our Lives. It makes the album more poignant to listen to. I think that's the phrase I'm looking for, poignancy. And it's just, you know, remarkable. Freddie Mercury gave one of his best vocal performances on here, you know, which is remarkable considering how ill he was. You know, obviously he stopped writing, and the band was pretty much writing, even though it credited Queen. I suspect that was to stop the people putting two and two together. Well, how ill Freddie Mercury was. Remarkable album, great album, definitely worth seeking out. I've shown this next album. I showed in a couple of videos. I'm not going to prattle on too much. Showed it in my vinyl tone. I showed it in me sort of Neil What Rush Were Meant to Me video. Clockwork Angels, Rush. Said it was my favourite album of the last decade. I'm still going to handstand by that. It was a concept album, and remarkably, it's the only concept album the band ever did. Neil Peart wrote 2 books on the back of this, apparently, which I need to seek out. Musically, top of the game at this point. Released on my birthday, actually. So, yeah, as I said, it was sad what happened, but I think now, as the dust settles, we've got the music to keep reminding us. Excuse me. Ending 2019 is a good point to have a swig. This is lemon sip, blackcurrant lemon sip. I've been suffering from a bit of a cold, which don't seem to be shaking off. So we'll crack on with 2020, and I finally managed to pick up a vinyl copy of this, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, a total classic album of, you know, yes, very much of its time, granted. Remarkable. An album that Motown, Berry Gordy, didn't really want to release. I think Marvin Gaye had to be quite insistent. What's Going On, the title track, Mercy Mercy Me, the Ecology. Groundbreaking, more because it was an album of its time, and you could play this now and just refer to the themes on the album for today. You know, it's just a remarkable record. I'm so glad to found it. Cover's a bit knackered, but record plays great. This was an upgrade. Jam, The Gift, the final studio album, released in 1982. My original copy, when I got it, so in fact when I found it, it's got wax on the melted wax on one of the sides, and as much as I tried to get rid of it, it didn't. I couldn't shift it all, so I've just bit the bullet and bought a new copy. You've got on here a Town Called Malice and Precious. Town Called Malice and Precious was a double A side, which became a #1 hit for the Jam. Just Two is the 5 O'Clock Hero. Other great songs, Carnation, which Liam Gallagher covered as a single for charity. Yeah, you could sense listening to this direction that Paul Weller wanted to go into. I think he felt a little bit confined with what was going on with the Jam and just wanted to just change. And that sort of hints the fact that you've got horns at the back there. Something a bit more up to date, and I found this in the charity shop. Lordi's Pure Heroin, her debut album. Now, I'm not averse to a bit of pop music, and actually this is quite a good listen. Yeah, I've actually quite enjoyed it. I think she's from New Zealand. Whether I'd go out my way to find any more of her stuff, I'd probably stream it first before I decided. But this is not a bad album at all. I'd heard of the name, I wasn't aware of the music. I actually quite enjoyed the opening track, Tennis Courts, Glory and Gore. I think there's a couple of good tracks on there. So yeah, I was pleased to have found that. It's an unusual find, charity store. Likewise, this was Michael Jackson's Dangerous, released in 1991. This is a double album. Obviously you see Bad and you see Thriller and Off the Wall in the second-hand record shops. It's very rare you see a vinyl copy of Dangerous. And you see Black and White was the lead single, #1. The video with Macaulay Culkin in. Jams on here. Heal the World. Give It To Me, which features Slash on guitar. It really is a good album, actually. I think in all the shenanigans that surround Michael Jackson, we forget how good a writer he was. Some really good songs there. So I was pleased to find that. A band that have been getting a few albums recently, towards the end of last year, were Rolling Stones. Now I found this is Beggar's Banquet. This is an 80s reissue on Decca. So it's not an original or anything like that. I just hadn't got a vinyl copy, and it was at a good price, so I picked up a copy. We all know what's on here: Symphony for the Devil, Street Fighting Man, produced by Jimmy Miller. It's it's classic. It's to a lot of people, and probably myself, it's where the classic Stones period starts. That this is the starting point, which you carry on through up the 70s, and then 71, 72, you've got Exile on Main Street, and this is an original, I think, yeah. This is just absolutely gorgeous album, double album. Been after a vinyl copy. I know I could have got it cheaper in a reissue. There you go. I think it does what it says. It's Tommy Dice. You can name the tracks on the album. It's just a great double album. Made in the south of France. Yes, a lot of it. I think Keith was sort of like getting up to his head in the drugs a little bit, but yeah, Corky, really great at record. To complete a discography, this is the Nice third album, which is just simply called Nice. This came out in, I think, 1969, I think. This is on the Immediate label. Yeah, 1969. Big Immediate label on here. This is one of those albums that's a mixture of studio and live. So the studio side one, you've got their version of Hang On to a Dream, Diary of It, and then there's this Diary of Empty Day, Azura Revisited, for example. These are Emerson and Jackson songs. And then side 2 was recorded live at the Fillmore East, New York, where you've got Rondo in 69 and the cover of Dylan's She Belongs to Me. Yeah, again, very much sort of hinting at the direction Keith Emerson wanted to go into. He's really started to take over the band at that point. During the first week of January, Pete, the right Psychotron owner of Psychotron, brought a collection of a guy, which had quite a lot of things like War on Drugs, Courtney Barrett, and Kurt Vile in town. But he had Nick's next album was Sealed, and this seems to be coming up a lot as a Sealed album. And I don't know why people are not playing it, buying it and not playing it. I'm so glad I've picked up a copy of this Public Service Broadcasting, The Race for Space. It was very close to being my favourite album of the last decade. Sort of like 2015, this was always on there playing on the radio. And things like Gagarin and were always on the radio, and I just loved it. I got a download of it. I think what else was it? Just absolutely wonderful record. It's basically, if you don't know who Public Service Broadcasting are, it's very much a prog album. They're in the prog vein, but they're not traditional prog. And their albums usually are a theme, they're a concept. So The Race for Space is basically what it is. So you've got here, on the front cover here, an American flag, American land on the moon. And then if you flip it round, you could use the cover as this, which is sort of like Sputnik satellite. So it's highlighting the right, things like tracks like Gagarin. It's sort of like celebrating Yuri Gagarin. In the UK in the summer, they have what's known as promenade concerts, proms, which is mainly classical, but to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, Public Service Broadcasting played this whole album live with, I think, with the orchestra and the choirs as well. Absolutely corking album. And again, to find this, their follow-up, which released in 2017, Every Valley. And this sort of charts the rise and fall of the coal mining industry in South Wales, which was an area where coal mining was a big employer at the time. And this sort of like charts the need for coal, how it coal was promised to build a big future. Then, whether it be strikes or whatever, the sort of charts decline. They're very few. In fact, I don't think there is a working coal mine left in South Wales now. And yeah, apart from the odd, museums, that's it. It charted. But interspersed is like with the music is dialogue from people from documentaries, and it's quite a sad listen, especially the last track on here, where they've got a male voice choir. Because that's the one. If I open the gate slit fold here, you've got said choir recording their bit. And the one thing that South Wales is famous for, as well as coal, well, it's three things. It was coal, rugby, and male voice choirs. On a Sunday, the men were practicing the week, and then they'd sing in the chapels on a Sunday. Take Me Home, it features them right at the end. Absolutely, it's a moving piece of work. I'm hoping that public service broadcasting will release some new stuff within soon. I think at the moment they might be my favourite current band at the moment. Now Rush have gone, they might have overtaken my favourite current band. So that is part one of the January Farms. I've got a few more things to show you. Today, what am I going to be doing today? I've got to go out and do some food shop. Probably do ironing, probably clean some records. This week, got a big thing coming up. On Saturday, we're having a VC meetup in Bristol. It's a big record fair in Colston Hall in Bristol. And Bristol's quite a good place for record shops. So, and there'll probably be beer involved as well, which, dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. So, whatever you get up to this week, VC, make sure you enjoy yourself. Enjoy your Sundays. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. As I said, I've had a bit of a spike. I'm on. I don't like saying how many it was. I said 291. So I'm not far off 300 subscribers, which is it's pleasing because in the end it's only a humble little channel. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. Whatever you do, feel free to leave a comment as well. I'll endeavour to try and get back to you. Might not be the same day, but I'll do try and get back to you. So whatever you do, VC, today, keep spinning, take care of yourselves. More importantly, keep smiling.